what's going on? This is Brian Pickowicz, and today we're going to talk about the top 10 things that I wish that I knew when I first started getting into fitness and training. And so these 10 examples are things that I have learned over the last 10 years, whether that's in bodybuilding, in marathon running, as a trainer, or as a coach online. There's some different principles that I think that tend to get looked over or that are not always present when people are thinking about getting in shape. And so the point of this video is to take some of the lessons that I've learned and the things that I've really gravitated to over the years when my training has developed and shifted to create a very helpful blueprint for you regardless of where you're at. So this video is going to be helpful for people who are experts. This video is going to be helpful for people who are starting up again and trying to figure out what the best path forward is. But it's also going to be great for you if you're just starting today. And my point here is, like I said, to distill some different points so that you have some actionable steps to implement in your fitness and health journey. So as we're going through this, the only thing I ask is if you love this video, if you love this channel, please give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, hit that little button, and feel free to subscribe and support this channel because we're going to be posting videos like this every week and just here to support you and your journey along the way. So my whole perspective on this video is to distill the things that I think are either looked over, are overwhelming, or just seem too complicated for everyday people who are trying to get in the gym. It's great if you are a bodybuilder to follow a Instagram model who does swipe through workouts, but the truth is that's not overly effective. And the point that I want to make is that there's some different core principles that make training fun, make it effective, but also make it work. And so my first point here, as we're going to dive in, is that if you're someone who's training, starting to train, you're getting back into the gym, focus on the basics. Focus on your basic compound movements. Focus on the things that are going to be the 80-20 of training, and don't get overwhelmed with the minutia of a bunch of different exercises. Let me explain. When I first started training, I thought that I had to do a bunch of different exercises. I would add in workouts that had 12 different exercises, 10 different exercises, because I wanted to get every small little detail. And that's great if you're bodybuilding, but it's not really effective. It's not really effective, it's not important, and the truth is you don't get as much out of it from a ROI standpoint. So if you're looking at your return on investment, your ability to gain muscle is going to be far greater with compound movements like squats, deadlifts, bench press, shoulder press or military press, or some kind of variation of those movements, whether that's a goblet squat, a stiff-legged deadlift, some kind of dumbbell deadlift, or even a kettlebell swing that's going to be hitting your glutes and using a lot of that posterior chain. Now, why do I say this? Because it's really easy to get overwhelmed with the details. Like I said, I would spend hours on end training and it wasn't very effective. But it's far more effective. The thing I've learned over the years is that it's far more effective to work on one exercise, maybe doing like 5 to 6 exercises in a workout circuit, and having that as something that you consistently see progressive overload working with, meaning getting stronger, being able to push your reps, being able to see tangible progress on those exercises, rather than thinking that you have to add in a bunch of exercises to the mix. And I think CrossFit, I think that circuit classes make us feel like we have to have more. And it's great to change your workouts. I'm all about changing your workouts from time to time, but you're far better off to set yourself up with like 8 weeks to do what is essential, to do the effective things, and then to adjust, rather than thinking that every week has to be a new exercise, has to be a new workout. And to get caught up in that minutia is not worth the mental space it's going to require. You're far better off to say, hey, here's my plan, this is what I'm going to execute on, and go implement it. So effectiveness, do the basics, focus on the things that work, and just execute on progressive overload, meaning either do more reps, do higher weight, or focus on increasing the resistance or something of the like. Find a way to push yourself a little bit further in those exercises. The second thing is prioritize mobility as a warm-up. Now, when we're talking about warm-ups, I think it's effective to do a little bit of cardio just to get your body in state, recheck your mind. I always say do like 10 minutes of cardio on an incline. Just get started, start zoning in, get your heart rate up. It's going to be an effective way to start breaking from what the day is into what our training is, because it's really easy to get overwhelmed. But the next thing is prioritizing our mobility. So if you're training legs, for instance, focus on warming up your glutes, focus on warming up your hips. I post a lot of workout videos on my Instagram channel of these types of circuits. So foam rolling your hips it's going to be a tremendous way to loosen up. Also focusing on hip circles, glute bridges, finding some way to loosen your joints up, and a lot of those areas that tend to get really stiff throughout the day is going to be a far more advantageous way for you to dive into the workout rather than feeling like you have to just do your cardio and then jump in. And I think that I was talking to a client once and they're like, well, I really hated the mobility circuits that you were having me do at first because I didn't associate it with weight loss because I wasn't going to be building muscle. It wasn't as important. She's like, once I realized that the movement was just as important and that it was allowing me to build more strength because I felt better long term, it became much easier. So whether that's a shoulder warm-up routine, hip warm-up routine, focusing on engaging your glutes, getting your hips open, find some way to prioritize mobility even on days when you're not training, and your progress and your overall longevity is going to skyrocket. And so the next thing is be effective with your time. I kid you not, when I used to first get into training, or when I first got into training, I would spend hours at the gym. I would spend hours a day training. I remember reading in a bodybuilding magazine and listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger say, well, I would train for 5 hours a day and it would be fantastic. How's my accent? But it was something that I read. So I was like, okay, well, that means if Arnold got results at 5 hours, that means I need to train for 5 hours. And I would literally spend 3 hours in the gym. I would spend an hour doing some cardio, like playing basketball or whatever with some friends. And I saw results, but it wasn't the most effective way for me to see results. And truth is I probably could have gotten better results with less time if I had been pushing myself harder. So when it comes to training, and I think this is a focus point for almost anything in life in general, but it's not how much time we spend, it's the quality of time we spend there when we're in that state. And so if you want to train, go to the gym, do your 60 minutes, get in state, crush it, and then get done. That's all you need. You don't need an hour on end. You don't need 2 hours. I'll admit, like sometimes if I'm training legs, I might give myself like an hour and a half. You know, there's some times where that might be necessary, but you don't have to labor over a lot of time at the gym. And it's really, the law of diminishing returns, I find, really starts to sway the other way at about an hour and a half. So that's just my 2 cents. Be more effective, consolidate your time, and you'll see better results. And so the point number 4 that I wanted to bring up is core training. So training your abs, how to do it effectively. Instead of doing sit-ups or leg raises or all the cool things that you see Instagram models do, focus on core stability, focus on being able to strengthen your core, and add in things like sit-ups as an auxiliary lift if you want. Now, if you have back pain, I wouldn't suggest doing any kind of sit-ups or leg raises. You could potentially do a dead bug. Don't worry about the minutia. Let's just focus here. But more of what I'm saying is focus on doing things like on suitcase carries, focus on doing kettlebell swings, focus on doing single arm presses. Find a way to stabilize your core and keep your core strong while you're doing other things. Now, is that always essential? No, of course not. I still love doing cable crunches. I still love doing Russian twists from time to time. I don't really use a weight. I just like to do the twist from side to side, getting a little bit of my obliques in there. But there's other ways to train your core than just doing sit-ups, doing leg raises, and doing Russian twists. And prioritizing core stability, meaning planks, ball planks, doing like I said, like a suitcase carry or something of the like, is going to improve your core strength. It's going to hit a lot more of the muscles that matter in your abs, and you're going to see an increase in overall core stability, and that's going to improve everything else you're doing in the gym as well. And so the next point, and I think this is the most important thing I could ever say as far as a piece of advice when it comes to training, and this is a thesis that I use, whether that's actual weightlifting or running or something of the like, but focus on 2 to 4 reps. What do I mean by that? when I'm training, I don't count to 12. When I'm doing, especially getting into heavier reps, I'm getting into heavier weights. I trained my mind a long time ago to only focus on counting to 2 to 4. So if I'm going to do 12 reps, I will count to 4 3 times. In my head, it's a lot easier to think, okay, I'm going to do 4 reps, I'm going to hit the 4 reps, and then I'm going to do another 2. Okay, if I can do another 2, maybe I can get another 2. Well, maybe if I get those 8 reps, maybe it's another 2 reps that I can get out. And it's the same as when you're running. I know that there's so many of us who do this, but I remember when I first was a kid, I had this massive loop around my house that I would run. It was up and down hills, and it was like 3 or 4 miles. I would do it when I was training for football or baseball. And it really kicked my butt. And when I was doing it, I would always say, okay, I gotta run to the telephone pole. And once I got to the telephone pole, I'd realize that I could run a little bit farther, and I would set that next distance. And so instead of saying like, I need to sprint this whole track, I need to sprint this whole loop, it was easier to just say, okay, I'm gonna focus on the small thing. And whether it's in the gym or whether it's on the track or whether it's out on the road or in your career, in your relationships, in your nutrition, whatever it is that you're really trying to see progress with, focus on the small thing. Don't focus on the massive thing. If you are truly focused on doing this and you execute on this, you will be able to do another thing. And when it comes to weight training, I remember when I was really into bodybuilding, I would squat, I think the heaviest I ever squatted was 405 for 9 reps. And there's no way for me to think, in my mind, of doing 9 reps at the time. So I would just focus on doing 4, and maybe another 4. And maybe there's another rep that I can push in there. And so putting smaller constraints on our goals is one of the most effective ways to truly hit them, but also see progress beyond them too. And now, one of the things I kind of alluded to is focus on glute strength and mobility. Now, I said prioritize mobility, but I'm going to shift this a little bit because from my perspective, as a man, I find that men, we want to go to the gym, we want to bang it out, and it's like, why would I train my glutes? Why would I do glute bridges? Why would I do bird dogs? Why would I do hip thrusts? Why would I do side steps? Like that's not stupid. I'll just do squats and deadlift. Now, those 2 exercises are great ways to build your core strength. It's a great way to build up your glutes. It's a great way to hit your hamstrings and quads, but at the same time, adding in glute training, adding in exercises that are going to help you increase your mobility and flexibility in your hips is going to help improve those areas. And now you don't have to be doing those as the primary movements, but I remember when I used to get into squats, all I would do is I would foam roll a little bit. I would maybe even do like a leg extension. I would do leg extensions to warm up. Oh, I want to warm up my knees. So I had a friend, that's what he told me to do. So I was like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And I would do leg extensions, or I would just warm up with the light bar and go into squats. In hindsight, that was one of the dumbest things I could have done because my legs weren't actually warm. My hips weren't warm. I wasn't getting the full depth of squat that I could have, and it exacerbated any imbalances that I had. So what would have been more effective is focusing on hip circles, focusing on hydrants, or just getting my legs loosened up and then going into the squat. And if we're talking about longevity purposes, that really matters. And so if you want to get stronger, do those things, focus on your pillar training, and then go into the movement. Now, next, this really goes back to when I first started training, first year, and as I have connected with a lot more clients over the years, it's a predominant problem, and that is train your back. I used to not train my back because I was intimidated, couldn't feel it. It wasn't that it was a macho thing, like I know that some people talk about mirror syndrome, which is they just want to train what's here, but for me it was really about just insecurity of not knowing the exercises. When I started to actually get the exercises, it was really easy for me to progress. And from a overall postural standpoint, if you're someone who stands like this, you have to start to strengthen the top of your back. You have to start to strengthen your rear delts. You have to get your body back into a state where you're actually going to be functional. Because if you're sitting like this, which most people do because they're typing away, strengthening your back is going to fix your posture. It's going to improve the quality of your life. Because if you start to have poor posture, It's only going to get worse. I was training a client recently, and we focused all on training his thoracic spine, his thoracic muscles, and we really expanded his ability to have great posture. He's now standing like a normal person, and it's fantastic. And that's really what you want to focus on. So focus on rows, pull downs, any kind of back exercises. I wouldn't necessarily dive right into deadlifts, but something that you can progress to over time, and giving yourself also shoulder mobility exercises is going to be a very effective way to improve your back and posture too. Now, the next thing is, I think, more of a mindset than anything else, but don't be intimidated by other people at the gym. You're in your own space. I remember when I first started going to the gym, I was a great athlete. All 3 sports captain. I was player of the year for baseball in New Hampshire, and I was someone who just got after it. But when I started to weight train, I was kind of a smaller guy, at least in my perception of myself, which is really key. And I remember going to the gym. I didn't know what to do because it was a new area for me, and I did a couple dumbbell bench presses, I think an incline press, and I remember I tried going too heavy too fast, and the weight fell down and it hit me in the face. And I didn't really know what to do, so I did some curls, and I just felt completely demoralized because I saw these other guys who were older than me, who were bigger than me, and I was like, well, I'm not like them, and I left the gym. And the greatest thing that I ever did was I showed up at the gym the next day. I don't even care. I'm going to walk on the treadmill, maybe I'll train my legs, I'll do some leg extensions. I'm going to figure this out. And this is before Instagram. This is before YouTube fitness videos. This is really new. So I was in a position where I had to kind of start to figure it out. And luckily, a friend gave me an Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding magazine, so I started to actually to get momentum. But I was intimidated because I was in my own head. Doesn't need to happen. Doesn't need to exist. You're in your own place. You're doing your thing. This is about you. And if you have gym anxiety because you think people might be judging you, realize that if they are judging you, then they're not important. That means that they're insecure about themselves. And one thing I've learned is that anytime that we feel like, or anytime we're judging someone, it's usually something about us that we don't like, something about us that is insecure. And when someone judges you, it's typically that thing. So being able to separate yourself from that is a huge tool to be able to actually move forward. And in the gym setting, this is all about you getting better. That's all that matters. So don't worry about what anyone else thinks about you. Just do your thing, and that is going to make massive waves in your progress overall. Now, the next thing is mind-muscle connection. You don't need a whole lot of weight. You don't need a whole lot of weight in order to see progress. Now, you will benefit from progressive overload. You will benefit from, if you did 10 pounds and you can do 15 pounds, and you can still keep your form right, knock that out. But focus on connecting with your muscles. Focus on feeling the muscle contract, going slow, and feel how your body is working. This is all about connecting with your body. It's not about lifting weights. It's not about building muscle. The process of fitness is an internal connection to our bodies. And when we connect with our body, it makes it easier for us to see the progress that we want long term. So focus on building that mind-muscle connection. Focus on feeling how your body is supposed to move, and continue to allow that to be something that you use as a tool as you get stronger, as you improve. And I will promise that if you focus on your mind-muscle connection, feeling how your body is moving through each exercise, feeling how your muscles are moving through each exercise, you'll be safer, you will feel stronger, and you will have better long-term progress because you won't be in a place to injure yourself. Now, last two, this is number 9, is know your body. If something doesn't feel right, stop doing it. Assess why it doesn't feel right, and then go see a professional. I used to have a terrible pain in my shoulder from pull downs. I went and saw a professional and didn't really get better. And so once I actually connected with the right person, he was like, oh, this is what's wrong with your shoulder. And doing more research on that, it's easy to see what was actually wrong with my shoulder, and now I've been able to fix it over the years. And so whenever something doesn't feel right, don't neglect it and don't just cast it off, because there's a chance that if it doesn't feel right, if it hurts, or if you feel a twinge, there's an imbalance in your body that can be most likely fixed through proper training, through proper assessment of that injury or just imbalance. So if something doesn't feel right, listen to your body, understand that you can change it, most likely, unless it's a chronic pain or a chronic injury, and work to improve from there. Don't just work around it per se. You can work around it up to a certain extent, but work for it. I think that's far more important. Work for your body and do things that make your body feel good. Now, the last thing, most important thing I'm going to say here, or maybe second, because I do believe that the reps one was the most important, but focus on prioritizing movement over anything else. So if you can't train today, had a stressful day at work, you're just not feeling it, then go to the gym and just walk. Put yourself in the arena. Put yourself in the gym. Go for a walk on the street. Take the stairs. Movement matters more than anything else, because one of the things that I think is so fascinating is around the holiday season, everyone just blows up their diet. People blow up their habits and they're like, oh, well, it's just the holiday, so it's fine. Now, am I a Scrooge saying that you shouldn't enjoy yourself around the holidays? Absolutely not. Enjoy yourself. I love my apple pie, eclair cake. Those are things that are family staples for me. I will eat them till the day that I die, and I will always enjoy them. But at the same time, it's really important to keep movement in your schedule, keep movement in your day. Because if training is a foundation, then what happens is everything else that you do, whether that's falling off your nutrition, not meditating, not being mindful, just having the disconnect in those other habits, if training is still there, then all you have to do is just change your nutrition. It happens like that. It's very easy. But if you get out of the habit of training, then your schedule is all out of whack. Your ability to control your body is all out of whack. Your mindfulness is going to decrease because you're not in the arena. When we train, we make better decisions. When we train, we're more mindful. We improve our nutrition. So having some kind of movement at least keeps you on the path. It might be a slower path, but it keeps you on the path. So even if it's just 2 days a week in the gym and going for a 5-minute walk, even if it's just stretching your body in the morning, doing a mobility circuit, keep movement in your day and don't think that you're a failure because you didn't go to the gym. I've had clients who are like, oh my God, Brian, texting me, I can't go to the gym. It's so stressful, la 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 la, all these things have happened. I said, okay, well, let's step back, let's zone out for a second. What could you do? I could do this exercise at home, I could do that exercise at home, and I could go for a walk. Awesome, go do that. That's all it is. When things aren't going the right way, zoom out, not zone out, zoom out, and assess the situation. Ask yourself what would make the next best step. What is the next best step? What would make the next thing you do a win? And if movement is a part of your lifestyle, you're always in the arena and you can always win this game. So 10 points today, a little bit longer of a video, but I hope this resonated with you. I hope it's helpful. Feel free to comment below what one is the most impactful for you, or the one that you are implementing now. And more than anything, thank you for being here. And just remember to continue to keep your pace and be a light. I'll see you.